This is the Between Two Firms podcast, episode 16.
Like, wait a minute, let's reframe this just one second.
These are good problems to have.
And what we can do with money to help our family over generations.
And working towards my entire career, I decided, you know what, I think I need to do my own thing.
And I'm like, awesome.
How's it going, everybody? My name is Nick Kobos, host of the Between Two Firms podcast, and I'm joined, as always, by what did Bryce call you? He said you're the Jamie of our podcast.
Yeah, you called me the co-host last week. I seem to have like a very shifting...
fluid. It's a fluid. Yeah. It's a very fluid role. But I'm joined by my co-host / showrunner supreme / Jamie doppelganger, Matt Nomchik. How's it going, man?
Doing well. It's Friday.
It is Friday. It is a lovely Friday. And we just had a really fun interview with Bryce Morrison, coming to us from Idaho, dude. I dropped. Were you familiar with the Idaho Afro Man song that I?
Well, we listened to it. Nick and I did a drive from Greensboro, North Carolina to Anchorage, Alaska. And we listened to that. We listened to that at least probably, I think maybe 3 times. I think we listened to the Afro-Man Idaho song while we were in the state of Idaho.
Over the course of our 74-hour drive.
There's probably a better song, an Idaho sort of native song. But
I think I'm pretty sure
that's a song to listen to as you're traversing Idaho.
I could be wrong, so don't hold me to it. But I believe that is the Idaho state anthem. I believe.
I believe that is certainly untrue.
I don't.
Possibly disrespectful. Maybe we could ask. Bryce was introduced to us by previous guest Darren King, also from Idaho. We should probably ask the two of them. And Bryce himself said that he hadn't heard of it, so either he's not.
Think he was.
He's not big on the Idaho kind of state motto, state anthem lore.
He's not on the. He doesn't follow Idaho on Spotify, I guess. But
yeah, not.
I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, but that was my thought. So no, anyway, I thought it was a great interview with Bryce. Had a blast chatting with him. And really, I'm just, selfishly happy to finally have somebody that does nonprofit, so that we can work with on when we get nonprofit tax inquiries. So win-wins all around. Before we get into the interview, I think you had a firm update you want to do, right, man?
Yeah, we talked about on you and I's kind of special episode how
that's a good word for it.
We cover tax at some point. That's still in the pipeline coming up. We had our tax AAR recently, and that'll get its own its own episode. But for me, the major update, the most major update, maybe you'll think of something else as I'm talking about it, was that we changed our sort of whole intake process around a form. So originally, Nick was receiving all sort of public inquiries from the entire internet, or wherever we get our referrals from, and they just pop up straight in his Google Calendar. And
brutal.
Brutal. Yeah, I just hear him across the hall in these calendar meetings back to back to back. And we talked about doing kind of a website refresh and an intake form. And so, yeah, that was a bit of time this last week and beginning of this week getting that online. And we've already had a couple people come in that way. And yeah, it's just a good, saves a little bit of the initial kind of sales process. And we're also kind of using it just as a gauge as a virtual accounting, bookkeeping, tax service, how suitable or how willing potential client is to using kind of the systems and software that we have.
No, 100%. I think we incorporated some elements of some things we've learned from folks on the podcast. I mean, I love we had
Oh yeah, for sure.
Kim Keller's I forget how hers was worded, but basically
It's the do you use QuickBooks Online or are you willing to switch? And it's just a binary choice between the two of those. There's no option to say no. On ours, because of the form logic, there is an option to say no.
But then you just
goodbye. That's the end of the form.
Goodbye.
So yeah, we have that. That's kind of been a secondary benefit for me. Is something I do during these podcasts. Is I'll pull up their website and kind of take a look at what everybody else is doing, and theirs is interesting. Our tax services, Jeremy Romans was really influential. I'll say.
Ooh, there you go.
But yeah, I think our website need a refresh. The full kind of website migration is still coming soon, but there's we got to do like a domain transfer from our previous hosting service, so that we want to get the forum live, and we did that this week.
Yeah, it's been so far. It's been a game changer. I mean, I won't lie. There's a confounding variable, which is that it is post 4:15. But the volume of calls that I've had to sit through has dropped off dramatically, and more importantly, I mean, to be determined. But I it's hard for me to envision a scenario where lead quality does not go up because of the form. And we've talked before about the importance of expectation management and kind of setting expectations with clients early. And I think the form, it's like our ideal client is somebody who's able and willing to sit through and fill out a 2-minute online form.
Right.
And people that aren't probably aren't going to be ideal clients. And so I think I'm optimistic it'll be just the right amount of friction for our sales process. So anyway, Matt hit it out of the park with getting that up on the website, and we're looking forward to seeing what the data says as we
and the good thing about it, the way that we built it out and the way the rest of the new website is, it's very modular and sort of interchangeable. Extensible is what I called it, but Nick always looks at me funny when I say that. And so we can kind of dial it based on how the results come in. It's very interchangeable. So I think that's good enough for the firm update.
I think so.
Yeah,
what do you think? Yeah, just go ahead and send it.
Without any further ado, let's let you guys get into it.
All right, Bryce, how's it going, man? It's a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to chatting. So, guest today, Bryce Morrison, coming to us from Nampa, Idaho. Where is Nampa?
So Nampa is about 20 minutes west of Boise. So it's like kind of the southwest Idaho Oregon border.
Okay. I drove through Boise in 2022, in the fall of 2022, driving from Alaska down to Texas.
Oh wow!
And my wife and I loved. I mean, we were only there. We stopped. We spent a day in Boise.
Yeah.
Really, even we camped. We camped at a campsite out in Boise, and then went around and walked around town. But just driving in and like just driving along the river, you're like, oh, this is a cool mountains.
How was that drive from Alaska to Texas?
It was long. It was long, but it was fun. We did a bunch of national parks and kind of cut south from Idaho, and we did Moab and stuff in Utah.
Oh, nice.
So it was a fun little trip. Yeah. But yeah, that's my knowledge. That's my intimate knowledge of Idaho. I know basically.
So you would have driven through Nampa without probably didn't even notice, but yeah.
Well, there you go. Are you familiar with the Afro Man Idaho song?
I know who Afro Man is. I don't know that song specifically. But...
Well, when we're done, I'll send it to you. To you. I off the top of my head, I can't remember if Nampa is named, but we'll see. I'm trying to think what rhymes with Nampa. But anyway, well, very cool. Like I said, we're looking forward to having you. And you were you're friends with Darren King, right? Is that?
Yeah, I mean, I know him a little bit. So he another CPA and auditor that is here in the Boise area who I work with a lot with nonprofit organizations. He met Darren King and introduced me to him kind of as hey, Darren kind of does businesses and individuals. You do nonprofits, like, you all could be good referral partners. When inevitably we each get requests from those industries that we
Sure.
don't normally work in. So yeah.
Sure, gotcha. Okay, yeah, and Darren was our guest on episode 12.
Yeah.
Also, but he's I think further, he's northwest of you.
Yeah,
in
he's
my
he's
Idaho
like
joke.
extreme northern Idaho. So
Yeah.
like it's like a probably 9+ hour drive. Like,
Yeah, right. Might as well
literally
be
get there.
right.
Yeah.
2 states over. Well, cool. So I got a lot of stuff I want to talk to you about, especially on the nonprofit side and kind of how you got into that. But before we dive into the firm and what you're doing, would you mind just telling us a little bit about how did you get into accounting to begin with, and then from accounting, what made you go out and start your own firm?
Yeah, so I went to college. My undergrad was at BYU Idaho, which is in Rexburg, Idaho, and what I knew I wanted to do some form of some sort of business degree. I didn't know what exactly, but when I first started, I was majoring in financial economics. I just kind of picked something that sounded like I would maybe want to do. So I took an intro to accounting class there and loved it, did really well. My professor talked to me. He's like, "You're really good at this. You should consider switching to accounting." And I took I took managerial accounting the next semester, also enjoyed that. And so then I decided to make the switch, and I loved that major and all of that. And so it was just like my first taste of it was great, and I went with it. So
You're hooked. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
cool. And so then after college, did you start in public accounting, or were you working in industry? Like, what was the kind of transition?
Yeah,
there?
so I did my master's at Boise State, so that's how I ended up in this area. And during my master's, I was doing a corporate accounting internship, so not public. But so I was kind of wrestling with it, like I could have stayed there, but I ultimately decided, I think long term it would be best for me to at least go get a few years of experience in public accounting, which I think is a very common tale. And so I recruited out of college and worked at a regional firm. Well, at the time it was more local. They just had the one office here in the Boise area, and then they grew pretty quickly, and became a regional, and then ultimately they're now a national firm after a big
Really?
they had a
Gotcha.
private equity buyout. But yeah, so I was there for a little over 6 years, and probably like 50 to 60% of my work while I was there was in the nonprofit sector, and so I really came to like that work, and that's kind of how I got to where I am now.
Gotcha. What were while you were at that firm, were you doing all tax, or were you doing books, audit, or what kind of stuff were you doing?
When I first started, like they liked having new staff kind of dabble in both, like before they really pick one, which at the time I really liked because I did not know which direction I wanted to go. And so I had done a tax internship in my undergrad, so I had experience with that. And so they kind of had me do mostly tax, but I did some audit work, but I just ended up doing tax. And so both for profit and nonprofit and individual while I was there.
Gotcha. Okay. And so then you said you were there about 6 years. Did you start your firm, Blacksmith CPA, while you were working at the firm, or tell me a little bit about like what triggered you thinking about going out and doing your own thing?
Well, so to answer your question, first off, no, I didn't start it until after I left. I left, let's see, it was April of last year of 25. And when I left, I wasn't 100% sure what I was going to do. I didn't really have a plan yet. So I kind of, I'm not going to go into detail, but like, I kind of needed to get out of there. And so I left. I kind of took a little bit of time to kind of just decompress and think about what I wanted to do. But to go back, even before I had decided to leave the firm, I had kind of started thinking to myself, like, if I ever was to go out and start my own firm, like this is something I could do. I could go out, be like the nonprofit guy. Like I saw that there was a gap in the market, the large firms might have a dedicated, or a lot of them have a dedicated team to the nonprofit sector, but outside of that, smaller to mid-sized CPA firms, I observed that either refuse to work with nonprofits or hardly work with nonprofits. And so I saw that I thought to myself, this would be a great opportunity to exclusively provide nonprofit tax services. And so you know, so after I had left, I kind of had thought, you know, was thinking about that again, and so I ultimately decided to do it, and it's been awesome. It's been great.
That's all. Well, cool. So you launched last April.
I guess I officially launched in May, May of 25. So you know, I took some time off to kind of, you know, decompress and kind of get things planned. But yeah, so in May I officially launched Blacksmith CPA.
And what was that experience? What was the launch or the first few months like for you? Did you have any clients that came with you, or were you starting from scratch?
I mean, no, I did. I didn't bring I didn't go you know, try to bring any clients with me. I just I don't know. I guess I wanted to. I didn't want to risk any sort of issues.
No, for sure.
Previous firm or whatever, but I just but I will say part of the reason I left was because there were a couple of friends of mine had actually left the firm the previous year. They started an audit practice, and one of them I've been very close friends with, and so I, you know, I talked to them a little bit after I left, and they were saying, like, you know, like they were kind of giving me some pointers on, like, you know, how they did things. And so overall, I would say the process for starting it was not as I don't know, not as hard as I expected. You know, I mean, there wasn't as much administrative and like legal things that I thought there would be. And I mean, I guess part of it was like I'm running I created a single member LLC. So like the tax filings aren't super complicated. It's like, you know, I mean, so it was anyways, but it wasn't as hard as I thought. And so, you know, obviously there's like a number of softwares you have to get and all of that. Like,
yeah,
you know,
right.
to get up and running. But yeah, it was overall, I would say it was a pretty smooth transition. The hardest part was just the fact that I'm starting from scratch. I have no clients. And so, well, like getting the business like set up was not the hard part. It was like, all right, how am I going to find clients? And how could I quickly find clients? And so, you know, I knew it was going to be a process, but.
Well, and that's a great point, because that is for the folks that are starting or that start out. I mean, that was my experience, right? When you start out and you don't start with a book of business, that is the hardest part. It's like, I got to go find the work. So what was your approach to doing that and filling up the client roster? Yeah.
So, one of the first things I did was I started in Idaho, and so like most states have what's called like a nonprofit state association, which is essentially like, it's just like a big like resource hub for nonprofits to, you know, there's like an annual conference that has keynote speakers and classes that nonprofits can go and, you know, just learn all different sorts of things. The website will have like, so I registered as a business affiliate through the Idaho Nonprofit Center. And so I'm listed there as a resource for any nonprofit. If a nonprofit needs a CPA, they can go and look on the website and see all the ones that, you know, are registered with them and work with nonprofits. So I started there, and then you know, at this point I've joined 4 out here in the Pacific Northwest, 4 different state associations. And so I've gone to a couple of their annual conferences thus far, and it's been really good. So that's, you know, that was definitely a good start. One thing I will say I learned quite quickly was how, you know, I really tried like using LinkedIn to like, you know, find clients, find like resource or like, you know, referral partners and all of that. And I really learned quickly that it just, from my experience, is fruitless. But, you know, I would reach out to you know, people I think would be good referral partners, and I would message them. I would try to sound as non-spammy as possible, and nobody responds. Nobody responds to those kind of messages on LinkedIn or all of that. And so I quickly learned, like, face to face is how that's how you're gonna, you know, gain the trust of referral partners. And so I started going to as many kind of networking events as I could, just locally. And then, you know, through the state nonprofit associations, I would, you know, they would have like, you know, some of them have like virtual monthly meetings. And so I would attend those and try to meet people that way, which some of those have been really good. You know, it's been great. So yeah, I guess that's And then one other thing I've done is like, I've joined a few nonprofit like Facebook groups, and
Yeah.
that's been not great, really, to be honest with you.
Really?
Like, it's not that I haven't gotten people messaging me asking to help, but it's usually the ones that just don't want to spend any money, and
Look, the lead quality's lower.
yeah, and don't see the value, like don't see the value in what I'm bringing, and so I kind of don't do that as much anyway anymore. But
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I started when I started that was my kind of like primary place I got leads at the beginning was from Facebook.
Oh, yeah.
And same thing, like there's a lot of lower it's unsurprisingly, maybe it's for most, there's a lot of lower quality leads floating around out there, but they're out there. No, cool. And for getting listed on those nonprofit kind of resource hubs or groups, was there any barrier to entry to doing that, or you just go on the website and sign up? Like what did it take to get involved in that?
Yeah, not really. The different states will have different requirements, but I think a couple of them asked for references, and so it was like your application has been approved pending, or us checking with these references. But
Sure.
but for the most part, it's just hey, like I work with nonprofit organizations. This is the service I provide. This is here's my application, and it's like, all right, you're listed on our website now. So it's pretty easy.
And that's where you get the majority of your leads will come from. They say they see you on those websites.
So I definitely have gotten direct leads, but what I think has been actually the biggest benefit from joining those state associations is getting referral partners through them. Like there's other service providers that work, a lot of them work exclusively in nonprofits just like me, or at least heavily in nonprofits. And so I've met a lot of great providers that, they might do only accounting services, but not tax, or, audit services, or maybe grant writers, like they're very niche and specific, just like I am. But they're, obviously great referral partners because they're working with nonprofits all the time. And if they hear a nonprofit say something about, their tax filing or their accounting, and they're like, oh, I know a guy. So I think if I had to say what the single largest, method of finding leads thus far is, it has been through that.
Through the referral partner. Yeah. And
referral partners, like through these state associations.
Yeah. That's a great strategy. Yeah. I mean, cause you get finding one good referral partner can get you, X amount of client. Yep. Yeah. Right. No, that makes a lot of sense. Oh, very cool. And so you mentioned the services, you do books, tax, and advisory services. Is that correct?
So yes, so the bread and butter is the tax compliance and reporting. Obviously the annual Form 990, and then any state filing requirements. I have a bookkeeper that helps me with on the bookkeeping side and payroll side of things. So we do some of that. The bigger accounting projects, I have like referral partners for accounting services firms that I'll work with. If it's like, huge clients, like my bookkeeper does more like kind of cleanup projects, like smaller clients. And so it just kind of depends on the size of the client, but yeah, we do offer that.
Gotcha. And is that
okay,
oh, sorry,
sure.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so outside of that, I also will help with like, formation of organizations, getting the exempt applications, helping prepare those and send those in. Another piece that I really like doing, or helping with organizations, is kind of just helping them get their financial infrastructure established, like helping with them make sure their financial policies and procedures are drafted and internal controls are in place and all that. That's something I learned pretty quickly after going out on my own, is like how many organizations, especially the smaller ones, that just don't have that set up. And so I really love doing that part. And so it's been a really good learning experience for me.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah.
Cause like, I guess to expound on that, what I mean by that is, like I'm being honest when I say this. I've learned more about like nonprofit organizations and how they operate in this year of being out on my own than I did, doing nonprofit tax for 6 years. And that's because, when you're an employee at a public accounting firm, you have a list of projects that's, 30 to 50 deep at any given time during tax season. And all you're thinking about is moving that project off your list. You want to, and so you look, you open up this return, you just want to punch in numbers and get it out. You're not thinking about how can I actually add value to this organization, and thinking about how this organization is operating. Like what are some strategies they can implement to find other revenue streams, whatever. And so I've thought about kind of all of that. I've seen how all that works, since coming out on my own, which has been really cool.
That is I'm not along, because that is just so true. Is like the pace of learning, I think, goes up dramatically when you're responsible for all of it, and it's all coming your way. No, I resonate with that a lot. You mentioned your bookkeeper. Is your bookkeeper a referral partner, or are they a contractor? Are they on staff? How is that set up?
She's a subcontractor.
Okay.
And then, but she also she doesn't only do nonprofit. So she contracts with me for the nonprofit stuff, but she also has for-profit clients on her own as well.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. And so how do you service them? Like, what's your tech stack look like? What platforms are you using to actually provide services?
So you're asking about my accounting softwares and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So my tax software, which is the CCH Access.
Okay.
That's what I used in my previous firm. It's pretty much all I know. I think when I first started there at my last firm, we used CCH Pro systems, and then they upgraded to Access, but those are very similar. And so that's pretty much all I know. I like the software, so I just I went out, got the Access version for a small firm. It's the exact same software. So that's my tax software. For my trial balance software, I use CCH Access Engagement Essentials, or I think is what it's called, Engagement Essentials. Which that's been pretty good. And then let me think. Microsoft Office, all that for my Outlook and all that. Microsoft Teams, I use all the Microsoft products for that stuff. Now for my project management software, I just got TaxDome.
Okay.
I haven't really done much with it, to be honest. For most of this last year, I was using File Explorer and just keeping
right.
But I got to the point where I need better tracking now, and so I just purchased TaxDome, and I haven't really taken the time to actually get it set up.
Summer project.
Yeah. So that's what I got going. I think I'm not sure if I'm missing anything, but
yeah, I selfishly, I'm going to ask you about CCH. We used Drake for this past tax season and the previous tax season.
Yeah.
And at the previous firm I'd worked at, we were on UltraTax.
Okay.
So that's kind of what I was leaning into making the switch to. But I don't know if you see. I mean, everywhere I look on all the different accounting groups and platforms, my understanding of UltraTax is the initial prices are they lure you in with a sweet initial price, and then when you get to your 3-year renewal, they 2, 3, 4x the price on you.
Oh, geez.
And so I've been really hesitant, and so I've been looking into I've been doing the initial looking into is probably a strong word. I've been leaning in the direction of CCH, and but it's all you've ever known, huh?
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, I honestly, I can't speak to other softwares. I like CCH. I have not really had any issues with the tax software.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm ignorant, but I think it's pretty good for nonprofit tax. But I used it for profit tax, and I think it's pretty good. But again, I don't have anything to compare it to. So,
that's the problem. That's the problem with tax software. Yeah, it's so. It's so tribal,
Yeah. And I don't, as far as I guess I don't know the pricing either. I don't know how the pricing compares to others. I did when I went out on my own. I did not even really look at other softwares. I just I was like, I know Access, so I looked at like the price seems reasonable for the small firm package, and so that I just went with it. So
yeah, just the muscle memory is what it's, no, 100%. Yeah, we'll probably be making the switch to CCH at some once we wrap up most of our extensions. We'll see. But it's probably in the cards for us. So for this first tax season, do you know how many returns that you ended up doing, or your total kind of volume?
Let me think. Okay. To answer your question, I have to say the nonprofit world is different than the for-profit world because first of all, the deadline for calendar year is May 15th as opposed to 3/15 and 4/15. So there's that. So the timing is nice, but also with nonprofits, so many nonprofits have different fiscal year ends as opposed to for-profits. Everybody's 12/31, and so it's nice because I really don't have a tax season.
The capacity crunch,
a traditional tax season. I'm sure that like the largest or calendar year probably makes up the largest portion, but I have a lot of 630s, a lot of 930s, and so next year I might have more of a busy season like for the May 15th deadline, but But I mean, I guess so. To answer your question, I I don't know the number off the top of my head, but like total number of returns that I've done thus far. I'm guessing like 35 to 40 maybe.
Okay.
And but also like as far as even a lot of the May 15ths, a lot of those clients I work on have financial statements, and so like those, I'm kind of at the helm of when the financial statements are going to be done. And so a lot of those just are extended because the financial statements are done during the summer or whatever. And so a lot of those are just kind of staggered throughout the year based on when the financial statements are. And then the ones that don't have financial statements, it's kind of just whenever, I'll work with the clients, like when's the best, are you going to have your stuff ready, and when can we do it, type of thing. So this current year that I'm in, I'll probably, have a little bit better of an idea of kind of what my tax season would look like going forward.
Yeah, learning the ebbs and the flows is part of this. We have the same challenges. Like I did taxes. I did a handful of returns last year, but this was really our first full tax season. And and so like modeling out, like it's hard to anticipate. Like, okay, how do we need to plan for capacity, and how many returns can we take in?
So Saga, it sounds like, so you're a pretty new firm then. I guess I haven't really asked about you.
Yeah, I started the firm. I started like doing basically side hustle bookkeeping in July of 2024. I was still active duty in the Army, and and so I was kind of doing bookkeeping. And then I did a tax season last year, and for 2025, I worked at an accounting firm part-time while scaling. So I got out of the Army, went to work at an accounting firm for busy season while scaling the bookkeeping side of the practice, and started taking like a handful of tax clients, but barely did any. And then went full-time April 15th, the last day of busy season, left the accounting firm and went full-time doing Saga. And so we've been kind of growing it since. Gotcha. Yeah, but so to the point of like tax season is like we literally have this problem we were talking about today. It's like we look at we're trying to map out, and I want to talk about how you structure your proposals in a second. But we look at our revenue, and we're looking at like capacity tracking and trying to figure out, okay, just planning capacity. And we have an N of one. We have one tax season to go off of, and so it's tough. So I'm excited for next year, and we'll have at least 2 years of data, and we can say, okay, like this, because right now we operate under the assumption of, is this real or is this just a fluke? You know what I mean? So that's where I'm right there with you. Do you know, on the point of like proposals, or how you structure engagements, do you bill? Are most of your clients one-time billing? Like you bill them per return? Do you have a monthly billing model? How do you structure that?
So yeah, most clients it's project based. So like a
Okay.
lot of my clients, so a lot of my clients maybe they have their own internal bookkeepers or they already have a third party bookkeeper. So it's basically just the tax compliance that they come to me for. And so for those, it's project based. So it's once a year billing for those, and then randomly they'll have questions throughout the year on various things if they get an IRS letter or if they just I don't know a state question or whatever it is. I have an hourly rate and so those are just kind of sporadic, those extra work, and then we have some clients that we have the annual tax return, which is still that's always project based. That's always like a one-time fee or annual fee. And then if we do the bookkeeping in Blacksmith, then there will be usually a kind of a monthly fee. It's more based on hours. Like we kind of give an estimate of how many hours we anticipate every month, and then we kind of go from there.
And you'll invoice the hours.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I guess that's how generally how we do it.
But the tax is fixed fee. The tax is not hours based.
No. Yeah. I mean, if I get into a project and it ends up being way more work than what we anticipated, then I'll reach out and say like, hey, like we're gonna need to add X amount of hours on top of it. But most of the time we don't have to do that. And so it's, I'll, if it's a new client coming in, I'll kind of review the prior year return. I'll kind of look at their current year books and then just kind of give an estimate on what I anticipate it being. And just, that's the project fee. So.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Do you have like tiered proposals, or do you do everything on like hey, this is the price for the engagement, and that's kind of take it or leave it?
Sorry, when you say tiered proposals, what do you mean exactly?
Do you when a new client comes in the door, do you have like a bronze, silver, gold kind of like hey, here are your options, or is it like hey, this is the return, and more like a la carte?
It's pretty specific. Yeah. Like I haven't really, there is a tier structure in the sense of on the form 990, there's, 3 tiers of the form. So if you're under 50,000 of revenue, you can file the 990N postcard, which most organizations, everybody could do that themselves. Some organizations just still ask me to do it just for peace of mind. And, so I mean, that, that's not very much. But if you're between 50 and 200,000 of revenue, you file the 990 EZ. And so, there's kind of a range of price that I usually stay between for the EZ. And then, for the 990, it's like, there's kind of a minimum and then going up based on complexity. And so, I don't like advertise those like amounts. I just like that's kind of internally what how I do it and
how you benchmark it.
And so but yeah, every new client I'll review their prior year return and look at their books and give an estimate on what I expect. So it's just it's all a la carte in that sense where I don't have like a pre-planned amount for any given client.
Sure. And the bookkeeping, you do the same way. The bookkeeping, I'm guessing, you said you bill it basically hourly, and you probably know your contractor rate and just have a markup. Is that basically the setup? Yep.
And so and we'll look at again we'll ask to kind of review their books, and then we'll give an estimate of how many transactions do you have a month? How often do you want us coming in to do reconciliation? Do you want it monthly or quarterly or whatever? And just base it off of that. So.
Gotcha. And are most of those books QBO? Or are you dealing with a lot of kind of one-off, industry specific?
Yeah. Thus far, almost all my clients are QBO. I mean, obviously, as I'm sure Intuit is kind of forcing everybody off of desktop and onto QBO. And so, which is kind of nice for me just because I don't have to have like a desktop to subscription to be able to access those. And so, and QuickBooks Online is good for nonprofit accounting. So, which is nice. I've had a couple that use just a random software I've never heard of. But I mean, those have been fine for the most part. I don't have access to jump in and pull reports, but I'll just
do the tax for those.
These are the reports that I need in order to do the
balance.
tax.
Right. Okay.
So, but yeah, QuickBooks Online is, it seems like it's kind of the standard in nonprofit accounting. So
we have a couple nonprofit, book clients. We don't do not nonprofit tax. But on the book side, yeah, we're all QBO. And we deal with some like not necessarily the ledger itself, but like there's other invoicing platforms or kind of ancillary platforms that then feed the QBO that we have to learn. But nothing that's not it's not too manageable. So yeah, that makes sense.
I really haven't had to deal with that type of stuff too much, because like my bookkeeper will handle handle payroll or whatever, and or their bookkeepers, and so it's like for me it's my ideal, if I had to say what my ideal client was, it is a nonprofit organization that has to go through a financial statement service of some sort, either a review or an audit, because when it gets to me, it's nice and clean and I can just punch it in.
No, 100%. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean,
but you don't do any audit work yourself?
No, not anymore. I mean, I did a little bit, when I first started at my last firm, but yeah, I don't do any sort of financial statement services now.
Is that something that you anticipate doing in the future, or you're just doing tax? Yeah, just do the tax.
I do taxes. What I know, I don't want to have to
don't
learn.
Want to mess with it.
And then it's like, and I mean, and also I don't know how it is in other states, but in Idaho, like there are pretty specific rules, like CPE rules for auditors.
Gotcha.
But the tax CPE rules are very lax. Like I can pretty much get CPE and whatever for tax. But yeah, this is it's what I'm comfortable with. It's what I love. I love doing the tax services. So I'm just gonna kind of keep trying to grow and learn more and more about on the tax side.
Gotcha.
And
100%. What as you kind of are navigating your first full year, where do you see yourself in terms of capacity? Are you starting to get to like, is that an issue for you yet?
It's starting to. So it's a good question. And this is something I think about all the time. So to preface this, I want to say this, like, it's something I'm very passionate about. So like, I mean, there are a lot of reasons why I decided to leave my previous firm, but one of which it was, as and like pretty much everybody in public accounting knows, like, it's all volume based. And so every staff and senior, it's like we're always overloaded is what it seems like. And I really came to resent the idea that like, it was like every December, everyone's like, all right, everyone ready to suffer for the next 4 months. And it was just like, it was just accepted, and like, all right, life is going to suck the next 4 months. And I really came to despise that. And I'm like, why haven't we figured something out? Like, why hasn't this industry like figured it out? Because people are just miserable. And I mean, I'm not saying I know the answer to that problem, but I guess so when I decided to go out on my own, I told myself, to back up real quick. So, because of that, I was letting clients down, and I was like, I was not getting stuff to clients on time and all that. And obviously a horrible feeling, like when you promise a client something and you let them down, you feel horrible. And so I came to realize, I'm like, this model, it's like, it's impossible to give great client service to every client when it's, when you're, 30, 40, 50 projects deep at any given time. Anyways, so when I went on my own, that was one of my goals was I don't want to follow that traditional public accounting model of just sheer volume. Yeah. So,
sweatshop.
What's that?
I said the sweatshop model. Yeah.
Yes. And so, I want to basically I want to find kind of the optimal level of clients that I can give great service to, and not reach a point where I'm letting clients down and I'm like drowning in work before I bring in help. And so obviously, like, starting from scratch, it's like, well, I'm bringing in anybody I can bring in, at first. I'm looking, and so it was interesting because in December, I had been on my own for about 7 months or something like that, and I was still at the point where like I need more clients, and then it was just all of a sudden in January, it was like all of a sudden I had steady work every day, like I never had a moment where I didn't have work. All like, and it happened very suddenly. It wasn't to the point where I'm like overloaded, but I had steady work, and I was like, whoa, that happened a lot faster than I thought it would. It was just like, it seemed like it was just like, oh, it could happen so fast where you're looking for clients to where you're like, oh, like I don't actually have to go actively looking for clients right now. And then, it's, kept growing since then. And so, I'm at the point now where like, I know I'm going to need to get some help before the end of the year for sure. And so I've been wrestling with, what that's going to look like and how I want to do that. But yeah, so it's really hard to tell, like, before I get to that point, but I want to be proactive and preemptive, rather than get to a point where I'm making clients angry and stuff. So it's something that's on my mind right now that I'm thinking about, and I'm going to need to act sooner rather than later to make sure I have the help by the time I need it,
Yeah, I mean, same experience as you, right? It's like, when I started, it was just me, and you're doing the work, and all of a sudden you kind of look up and you're like, oh my god, like I need help, and for us, I brought on Matt, teammate Matt. He was the first teammate, and for a while that was good. And then we brought on Marissa, who's our kind of admin. We call it customer success. Which was also a game changer. And then from there, we kind of stopped for a second and kind of collected ourselves. And we got to a point where, and again, it happened pretty quick, where we hit a capacity wall again, especially since we do bookkeeping on the cleanup side. So we had a couple kind of bigger cleanups that all came in at once. And all of a sudden, we found ourselves way out over our skis on capacity. And like you said, it's just a horrible feeling when you're like I hate having to be reactive. And I call it like whack-a-mole, like where you have clients pinging you instead of you pinging the client. I hate that. And I have vowed not to experience that again. And so after we've been kind of cleaning up our backlog and then working through it, and I vowed, like, we're not doing this again. We're going to proactively manage capacity. And so we built like a pretty simple dashboard, scorecard,
like a capacity model type of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just, I mean, because of those books and tax, we bucket the capacity separately. But it's just, it was just forecasted like capacity hours versus how much do we already have on the books, and we just track it on a weekly basis. And what we've found is, at least for me, that has been a game changer. One, because we know where we are. And we can see, when we're going to hit a wall or if we're going to hit a wall, right? But it's also been super helpful on like pricing, because it's really helped me. It's really helped me have more confidence in raising prices when I can see that we are butting up against capacity. You have two choices. It's like, I can hire or I can raise the prices. And before I know that, even before we were doing that, like, I knew that intrinsically, like, okay, that's always an option. But I don't know, man, I get nervous raising price. I'm not steely eyed. I get nervous on raising prices off proposals. And so I don't like getting rejected, And so
I get it. Like it sucks getting rejected, especially if it's somebody that you would really want to work with. Like if you think it's a client that you think would be a great client and stuff.
Like, I know I can help you. Like, this would be a great fit. Right. So I get invested.
And then when they reject you, it's like, oh man, bummer. But
I'm getting better about it. But
it is what it is, I guess. But
the data, having that data has been a game changer for us, because then I can let the data be the bad guy, and it's not me being the bad guy. It's like, hey, we're at 80% capacity.
That's really
I don't know.
I mean, I've thought about that too. Like I have not really like mapped out any data yet, like as far as all that goes. But I think I definitely do need to in the near future to I just kind of need to get more organized, because again, like, for the first while it was just I just needed clients, and so I'm not worried about tracking all this. I'm just bringing in as much as I can. But yeah, it's like, obviously to start to scale at all, you have to have some sort of measurements.
Is your plan to hire, or is your plan to continue to do solo and just kind of move up market? Like, what's the end game?
I think the plan is to hire. When I first started, I wasn't sure. I was not really sure what my long-term plan was. I thought to myself, like, I could maybe just work by myself and, like, kind of find that optimal level of clients that I talked about earlier and kind of just stay there. But now that I'm getting to that point, I'm like, well, I don't want to stop. There's more good clients out there that I want to find, and I don't want to start saying no to referral partners. And so, it's kind of a catch-22 a little bit, but I guess ultimately I've decided that, yeah, like I don't want to stop yet. So that would mean bringing somebody in. Something else that I've thought about is like, rather than hiring a staff, like bringing in a partner. But it's easier said than done. I don't know. For now, I would probably have to bring in a staff. I've thought about different things, bringing in a staff and then they kind of work their way up and slowly buy in if they wanted to stay here long term. And, there's options obviously, but yeah, I want to keep going. So I, we'll have to bring in some sort of help, like I said, sooner rather than later, definitely before the end of the year, I think. So.
Really? Okay. And your plan would be to keep growing on the tax side, not to expand horizontally. Like, just
for at least for now, I want to keep growing like the nonprofit tax side. I haven't thought about it too much as far as like, if somebody comes in that does only for profit, then we can kind of service both. I've thought about that. But that's not something I'm thinking about for the near future. So for now, it's like, I want to keep building the nonprofit service line. So.
Do you get a lot of inquiries from for-profit or 1040s? Or is your marketing, your website pretty?
Not really. I've had a few, but because like my website is like very clear that we work exclusively in the nonprofit sector, anybody that sends in a contact request through my website is, is in the nonprofit sector. And then, I'm listed on the nonprofit state website. So like, I'm not networking in for-profit circles really, outside of like just trying to find referral partners. But yeah, so pretty rare that I get, a for-profit business reaching out. I've had a couple of times where like a previous coworker of mine will reach out and say like, hey, like I have a friend who has this business and our prices are too high for them, but like, and I know you're doing nonprofit, but like, is this something you could take on? And usually I'll just say like, I appreciate it, but I don't really want I don't really want to. I've done what I will do is like, I've done a few individuals who are involved in the nonprofit organizations that I'm working with. And they'll say like, hey, can you do my individual taxes too? And like, I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. But I don't market myself as doing individuals or businesses. And I don't, I want the vast majority of my work to be the nonprofit stuff. So.
Yeah. The website thing, does your intake form like deliberately screen non-nonprofits out, or is it just kind of implied, like strongly implied?
It doesn't reject it. It doesn't, screen anyone out, but my website is just plastered with nonprofit stuff. Like there's nothing about for-profit stuff on there. It is all about nonprofit and exempt organizations. So anybody who goes through my website is going to know that I work with only nonprofit organizations.
We are working on our own version of that right now, because we have been, and I think we were just talking about capacity. I think part of why we kept hitting, for the longest time, we were just like, we'll take whatever and just bring it on, and I'm finally like, I've known for a while that that's probably not the best or the most scalable kind of method. But I'm finally confronting the FOMO, and we're trying to get tighter on the messaging and who we're trying to attract. But for me, I don't know. I mean, so I guess the point being, like, I respect you doing that from the outset. like
Yeah.
from early on, because I think that I don't know, at least I think that takes like more nerves. I think it's wiser probably in the long term too, but I think that's
Yeah.
I respect the nerves to do it. I just get, I don't know, like I said, we're working on it now and trying to make our messaging more specific. Because right now it's been like small businesses, you know,
Yeah.
and so we have just such a hodgepodge of stuff. And then it's a drag on the team because it's hard to systematize and you get all this one-off stuff. And
Yeah,
so
because
we're
small
trying to tighten
business
it
can
up.
mean a lot of things.
To a lot of, to a lot of different
Yeah.
people.
You can have
100%.
you can have a little Schedule C, or you can have a a business that makes like almost $1 million that calls itself a small business. So-
No, 100%. And it's and that's exactly what we found, right? And so we're trying to tighten it, and but for us again, like I think we're going in the direction of, well, right now we were talking about it over lunch, Matt and I, but right now what I'm kind of comfortable with is saying, okay, home service contractors doing between 500 and 3 million a year that have a full-time admin in Alaska or North Carolina. And that's kind of my V1, but I still think that might be like the home service contractors might be too broad. I think we might need to pick like electricians or HVAC or something. Anyway,
yeah.
that's what we're working on. And so I respect that I respect your focus.
Yeah.
Because I think it is the right thing to do. But I know that it's the right thing to do, but I know it's also easier said than done. You know, it takes discipline. It takes discipline.
Yeah. Well, another thing I'll say kind of related to that is, I'm happy that I learned this lesson pretty early on, but like, as I mentioned before, it's like when I first started, it's like I'm kind of desperate for clients. And so like early on, I was in these Facebook groups, like, commenting on every post saying like, hey, like, I do tax stuff, like, if you need, whatever. And so I would, and then I had prices, like I kind of had like prices in mind for the various tiers of work that I wanted to have for my firm. But I found myself offering lower prices to some of these potential clients early on, and I quickly learned that the clients that I would have to do that for are not the type of clients that I want, and so I finally I was like, okay, I'm fine sacrificing maybe a little bit of revenue now to not have to work with difficult clients or clients that you could tell just absolutely hate paying you, and so I'm glad I learned that lesson early on. And so now it's like, I just have peace of mind knowing like, these are the prices that I want to set, that I think the value that I bring. And and if I get rejected simply because of the price, then obviously like they cared about the price more than the more than the
what it meant to be,
more than the value that I bring to that I think I bring to them. And so I've kind of accepted that, and it makes it a little easier when you get rejected.
for sure. How do you on the topic of the pricing, how do you do your sales calls? I say sales calls. How do you do your sales?
So like you're talking about like kind of our like consultation, like when
like what's your process? Like if I've got my nonprofit and I go to your website and I think I might want to work with you, like what's that kind of process look like?
Yeah. So, I mean, if somebody contacts me through my website, like they'll send a contact request. First thing I'll do is nonprofit tax returns are all public information. So I always just go and look at their prior return to kind of get an idea of the organization and what's going on.
That is a cool advantage.
So, yeah. It's really cool that I'm able to do that. And so I'll do that. And then, but then I'll reach out and just schedule a consultation call with them. Get some more background on them, what accounting software they use, why are they switching CPAs? What are some frustrations that they've had with their prior CPAs, so that I make sure I let them know, like, I'm aware of that, we don't want that to continue, and then and I'll ask them to send me their financial statements or whatever, and then and then just kind of set expectations, and then I'll kind of like review everything, and then I'll send a proposal to them. So it's usually one consultation. I've kind of done a little bit of work, but then I'll ask for additional information, and then later that day or later that week I'll send a proposal. And so it's pretty straightforward.
So one call, and then the proposal gets sent, and you're not on the call with them when you present the proposal. It's just they get it, and then I just
send them the proposal. Like I've drafted a pretty formal proposal where it kind of gives some background on the firm, on me personally. I kind of map out my pricing structure, and then with references and all that. So I think it looks pretty good. So I think it's a pretty good proposal that a template that I have, and so they look over it. So that's for like organizations that kind of reach out directly to me or whatever. There's other time, a lot of my clients are clients that are being audited, and so they're going out to bid, so they're bidding for audit and tax. So I'll do a joint proposal with auditors, and so that's a little bit different. We might have a call with them, but sometimes they just send out RFPs for bid, and then we don't always have a call with them. They just tell us exactly what they want on the proposal, and then we send it. So it just kind of depends.
Gotcha. Okay. And are you using a proposal system, or are you just drafting like a PDF and emailing it over?
It's just I use a PDF. Yeah.
Okay. And then you invoice on QBO.
Currently on QBO, I think I'm gonna start using TaxStone because they have invoices. Because up to this point, I've just been using like Excel to track my time. Like I don't track my time on the tax returns. Those are project based, but like on anything else, like any other projects I'm doing for clients, like I've just been using Excel. And so TaxStone has time tracking and invoicing and all that. So I will start using that. But for now, it's just QBO.
Right. No, that makes sense. Okay. No, cool. Super cool. That's exciting. So it's been pretty quick growth for you in that first year. Like going from 0 to 40 plus returns, and
it's happened a lot faster than I thought. It's been awesome. Like, and excuse me, without going into too much detail, when I said I needed to kind of leave my last firm, my home life was suffering. I was bringing work home with me, and as much as I tried not to, it was affecting my life at home with my wife and daughters, and so I just can't tell you how much happier I am now that I'm out on my own. And it's funny because I never thought I would like start my own firm. I was always kind of scared. I was scared to do that. I thought I would always kind of work for somebody. And starting my own firm was never really a serious thought. But I guess it became more real once I decided I had to leave. And, I kind of had mentioned I had thought of doing this before, but it wasn't super serious thought. And then, now that I was done, I was like, well, I don't really want to go back to another firm and be unhappy again like I was. And so,
it's so true. The jump is the scariest part. The jump is the scariest part. And then, and it's funny you say that because it's pretty much everybody we've had on says the same thing. Like nobody has come on and been like, I just, maybe it's part of it, but nobody's like, I just thought I could make a boatload more cash if I was doing my thing. Nobody says that. Everybody's just like, I just wanted to control my time and have more time with my family and not be a slave to busy season. And
it's funny because obviously like my first year was the least amount of income I've ever had in my professional career, but it was by far the happiest I've ever been. And I guess I looked at it as like, having all the time, like all of that extra time I had to like spend with my family and whatever. I was obviously still looking for clients, but I just had that much more time because I didn't have enough work. All of that time that I was able to, do other things was kind of my reward for the previous 6 years.
No, for sure. And now, I mean, at least for me, like that's the most exciting for me, like personally, my favorite part of doing this is like building the contraption, and it's so fun talking to other people and seeing how people structure things to align with like their life or their goal, right? Like everybody structures it a little bit different way.
Yeah.
And I just think we're in such a cool space where everybody, like, you have total control to do that. And we're in an industry where, I mean, like you said, it's been a year. I mean, for us, it's been a year and a half. And it's like the work is out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, that's awesome that you already have you have like 5 people there, like 5 employees or something.
We've got 4 full-time and 1 part-time.
I mean, that's amazing. Like a year and a half. That's amazing. That's awesome.
I appreciate it. I mean, like you said, it's been, we've learned some stuff along the way, and we continue to learn. That's part of why we enjoy doing this. But
well, it's fun. So I was gonna ask. So your podcast, like, you specifically like talking to like other firm owners, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm curious, like your experience, because so to preface this, I was in a CPE in January, and like the big topic was like, how do we attract people to the profession? You know, whatever. Like we hear that topic a lot, but I didn't really think about it when I left and when I'm out on my own. But like what they were talking about was at that CPE was there's been a trend lately of like public accountants, instead of like trying to work their way up, you know, in these mid to larger firms, like they're just leaving and starting
the partnership model. Yeah, right. You just go do your own thing.
Yeah, like little single firms. And I was like, oh, that was me. And so, but you know, I left a firm that, you know, when I started at my last firm, there was like 25 people there. When I left, there were over 800. Like after the private equity. Oh, wow. Like private equity and all that.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
But even before the private equity, I think there were over 100 for sure. And like, so anyways,
and it was like traditional partnership model, like multiple partners, or was it? Okay.
It was, before the private equity came in. Yeah. But it's just interesting because like it really seems like the public accounting industry is kind of going in 2 extremes. Like private equity is coming in and buying up all these firms
on one side.
And then you have people leaving and starting little 1-person firms.
Yeah, the fragmenting on the other.
And so this seems like it's going 2 extremes. But I'm curious, like, has that been your observation after talking to like all these other firm owners? Or?
Well, that's most of the folks we talked to have that same experience. Is like they worked in public accounting and they got burnt out doing the busy season thing, and they said there's got to be a better way, and they go start their own thing. But like I say, everybody has their own reason for doing it and their own flavor of how they do it, which has been is cool to see. And like I said, genuinely, I didn't know this. I was in the Army. I did not have an accounting background. I was an infantry officer, so about the furthest thing from doing accounting, and I just kind of stumbled into it. So I didn't know it at the time, but in hindsight, I'm really glad I found accounting. Especially, I think now is a great time to be in accounting. Because genuinely, it's like, I'm not saying it's easy. It's definitely not easy. And there's a lot of work, and there's like you said, it's stressful making the jump. And that's why I always like respect the hell out of other folks who like sent it, you know, and done their own thing. But once you do, it's very realistic. Like there's no capital required. It's not capital intensive. You're not putting your whole life savings out on the line to open a restaurant or buy trucks and equipment, right? Like it's just something that you got to have the stones to do it, but you can just go do it. Yeah. And then once you're there, you can make it kind of whatever you want because it's remote and it's all in the cloud. And so, you know, you can do the office thing. I mean, we have an office and we come to work and we do that, but there's other people that do the remote thing. There's people that work like backwards hours so they can be home all day with the kids. And there's no right or wrong answer. I just think we're so lucky because there's so many other industries where that is not the case. Like there's no work from home or there's no work at night. Like,
I know. Yeah, so, you're right. It's like, it's awesome. Like how like when I said it wasn't as hard to like start the business, like that was a big part. Like I bought a laptop and bought a couple monitors and bought a few softwares and I'm just working, you know, I'm working in my home office. And so
just getting it done.
And it's like everything you can do, pretty much everything remote now. It's like I hardly ever meet with clients in person.
No, and we're the same way.
for the clients that are in this area, like I'll always offer, like, ask them if they'd like to meet in person, but most of them just say, oh, let's do remote. So yeah, it's really, it's a, it's just funny because, like, looking back, it's like, it's now I, like, see, like, former coworkers of mine and stuff that are still at my previous firm. I'm like, man, you all should do this too,
Yeah, it's like it's the red pill. You've been,
Yes.
you got the Matrix. Once you've seen the other side, there's no going back. No,
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm totally with you. Well, Bryce, it's been a blast chat with you,
Yeah.
learning about your practice and what you're doing. And I commend you for a successful first year doing your own thing. Like I said,
I appreciate that.
It's awesome.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
We before we wrap up, I'd like to do, if it's okay, we can do we call it the final 5. It's the same 5 questions we ask everybody at the end of each episode. And so the first question is, do you have a favorite business book?
Oh boy, business book. I haven't read very many, if any, straight up business books. What I would, the closest thing is, I love reading like economics books from, like, Thomas Sowell and Milton Friedman. Those are, like, 2 of my favorite economists. So, like, Basic Economics by Thomas Sowell. I haven't read the whole thing. It's big, but I read some of it and it's fantastic. I'm currently reading another one of his called Economic Something and Fallacies. No, that's not the one. I'm reading Discrimination and Disparities, I think is what this one is called. And then let's see, the one I read by Milton Friedman that I really liked was I think it's called Capitalism and Freedom or something like that. Anyways, those are, yeah. So not strictly business, but more economics. But yeah.
There's maybe probably a little lower brow, but they're one of my favorite books of all time. What is it called? It is I think it's called Why or How Economies Grow and Why They Fail or Why They Collapse. And it's an economics theory book, but it takes the perspective of, like, a couple people being on an abandoned island and just breaks it down, like, breaks the economic concepts down, like, very simply. I don't know. It's a phenomenal read, and it goes pretty deep. Anyway, if you're into economics, you go on.
Okay. Shoot me
Amazon.
over that name.
I'll shoot it to you when we're done.
Yeah.
And I wrote down yours. That's why I do this question. I just build the Kindle list. So, well, cool. What about do you have a system or tool that you feel like you couldn't run your firm without?
I don't know if this is a great answer, but I mean, it might be a cop out, but my tax software.
Your CCH. Hey, it counts. That counts for sure.
I mean, outside of that, I like I said earlier, I do need to get more organized, and, like, capacity model, stuff like that. So, like, stuff like that, I do need to, and, like, I'm sure once I get that stuff going, looking back, it's like, oh yeah, I needed this the whole time. But for now, I'll say my tax software.
I'm right there with you. Well, very cool. And like I said, I'm almost positive we're gonna do the jump to CCH. So if we do, I might have some questions as we go through it this summer. But well, cool. Good. What about do you have any events or conferences that either you've been to in the past or are planning on going to this year?
Yeah. So I mentioned I've been to a couple of the state nonprofit association conferences. So I went to Idaho's conference in last August, and then I went to the Montana conference in September, and both of those were great conferences, and I'm going to be going again. So I went and did as a booth exhibitor for each of those conferences. So I set up a booth, met a bunch of people, and again, like I mentioned earlier, like the best thing I got from those conferences wasn't even the direct leads, like the nonprofits that I talked to. It was like meeting the other booth exhibitors, and that was fantastic. Like I've gotten a lot of referrals just from meeting all those people. So definitely doing those again. Yeah,
I'm glad you brought up the booth because I was going to ask, when you went to those, did you just go and walk around, so you went, you paid to get a booth, set up the booth. What did you what was your booth kind of setup? Like what?
Yeah. So
how did you think through it?
So, I got a few swag items, nothing super crazy, but I got some pens, which they're pretty nice pens. I wanted them to be like, if I'm going to get swag, I want it to be pretty good. So they're pretty good pens, with my logo on it and all that. And then I got some, like little notebook things. I just, those are my swag items. And then I had a little banner, not one of those big banners, which I probably should get, but I had like a little table banner with my logo and like a QR code that goes to my website. And then I had my laptop up on there open, and like I was doing like let's see, I think I was doing a giveaway for like up to, I forget, it was like 5 to 10 hours. I think it was like 5 hours of complimentary services. And so like people would sign up, and then I picked a winner.
Like, give me your email and when.
Yeah. So they just type in their info. Yeah. And then but outside of that, I was also just offering 25% off, like your next tax return, off of my standard pricing, for anybody who entered, or anybody I've met through the conference. So
gotcha. Very cool.
So that's how I set up that. And so like, most of the time I was at the booth, but like, during the time of the classes, like I was either going around meeting at the other booth exhibitors, or I would kind of sneak into a couple classes here and there to hear some stuff. So
no, very cool. I love that strategy. That's something we've talked about, is like going to not accounting specific conferences, but going to industry specific conferences.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably a lot more fun than doing like the Facebook or doing ads or doing social media stuff. At least I'm not a social media guy, so I don't know. Yeah.
And I'm going to, and I'll be going to Wyoming's conference, which is like in 2 weeks. So I'll be going to Wyoming in a couple weeks and doing the same thing. This one's going to be in Casper, Wyoming. So
that's super cool.
Yeah. So I'll be there in a couple weeks.
All right on. What about hobbies? When you're not doing accounting, what do you enjoy doing?
Yeah, I love sports. Mostly football and basketball are my favorite sports. I'm a big Chiefs fan. So I was born in Kansas City. So I grew up a Chiefs fan, and so up until this last year, life has been very good. So my wife and I actually just went to the NFL draft in Pittsburgh. So her parents live in Pittsburgh. Yeah, so her parents live in Pittsburgh, so we went and stayed with them, and we went to the draft, which was fun. But actually just this past spring, it was my first time I was an assistant football coach for a flag football team. I was coaching with a buddy of mine from church, and we have our last game later today. So, but it's been a blast, and so I think I definitely want to keep doing that. It's been a lot of fun. So
that is awesome, man. Good luck. Good luck at your game.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so outside of the sports stuff, I guess we really like going and like going up to the mountains and hiking, doing lake days, stuff like that. We you don't have to travel too far to get up to the beautiful mountains outside of Boise. So
no, that's awesome. Yeah, that's you got that. Yeah, those West Coast hobbies, those West Coast hobbies, man. I love that. Well, not West Coast, but you know what I mean.
Like Pacific Northwest. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. I miss the mountains. Well, okay. What about last question? Where can people go to find out more about you?
So my my website. Let's see. I don't want to mislead anybody on the name. Let me make sure I don't miss any hyphens or anything.
We'll link into the show notes too.
Let's see. So it's blacksmith-cpa.com.
Perfect. Yeah, and like I said, we'll link that below. Well, right on, Bryce. I appreciate you coming on and taking the time to chat. Had a blast, and be looking forward to when we're done, we'll chat, and I'll be looking forward to trying to get you in the tax Discord and maybe shooting you some nonprofit leads.
Awesome, I appreciate that. But yeah, Sweet. Thank you for having me. This has been great.
Sweet. Well, that is our interview with Bryce Morrison. Bryce, thanks again for coming on the show. Had a great time. Any closing thoughts, man?
Yeah, I guess the only thing would be kind of what we talked about. We were going to make like sort of a landing page for the podcast on the website, and Bryce is the second person that we have in Idaho. And I don't know, just kind of build in like that heat map. Maybe I think about how that very low kind of priority on the website refactor, but I think it would still be cool to have little pins from where we've had a very wide ranging geography of guests.
I think that would be really cool. Yeah, just having a little map of where everybody's been from, and I just think it's one of the. I said it during the interview, but I just think it's so cool that we're in a space where like, I mean, we just have folks all over the country. Everything's remote. We just jump on a call, talk, compare notes on how we're doing business, and then okay, see ya. And yeah, just being able to build relationships with folks that aren't just down the street from you. What a time to be alive, dude. At least until the AI takes our lunch. But
right,
topic for another day.
Skynet incoming.
So all right. Well, I think that does it. If you enjoyed the show or you got any value from it, please take a moment and follow us on whatever platform you're listening on, and share it with somebody else who might get some value from it.
If you or a friend are interested in appearing on the show, we have a guest application that we put in the description of every episode. Nick and I would love to have anybody who's running an accounting firm come on and just talk shop.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, see you guys on the next one.
All right. Take it easy.
Good kill.